It was the year when a mountain blew its top, a TV show took its best shot, and Team USA put the Soviets on ice.
Can they score?
Here are the 10 most astonishing, triumphant, amusing, provocative, baffling, explosive, titillating, perplexing, tragic stories of the year. Who can forget 1980?
Here we go, baby.
Oh my gosh. Dallas.
I remember stacks of VHS tapes that I was not allowed to watch because my mom was obsessed with it.
In 1980, America was like, look, we watch soap operas all day. Let's just watch them at night, too.
There was a lot going on that summer. There was an Iran-Iraq war. There were all kinds of issues happening, but, it was Who Shot JR?
Who Shot JR on Dallas? I'll just bet Cliff Barnes did the dirty deed.
There was like an 8 or 10 month period where everyone and anyone and all anyone talked about was Who Shot JR.
Everyone was wearing Who Shot JR shirts.
Queen Elizabeth wanted to know.
When the Queen of England is interested in your cliffhanger of your show, you know you have done something right.
They were placing bets in Vegas.
Everybody had a reason to shoot him. You could see any of them shooting him.
Was it Sue Ellen, his wife, who had an affair? Was it Bobby Ewing? Was it somebody from the other side?
I think it was Jeannie. She was always disobeying her master's orders.
Hagman realizes he's now pop culture. So what does? He does what every great egotistical actor does. Ask for more money.
Larry Hagman's looking at a royal flush, and he's like, I think I'll renegotiate.
He got what he wanted, $100,000 an episode, and he got a cut of the merch.
This guy was smart.
So then at the end of the summer, we were waiting and waiting. They didn't even deal with it in the first episode. We didn't find out who shot JR till a couple of episodes in.
What if we didn't answer it till like episode 4? Oh, they'd be furious. They might be mad, but will they still watch?
350 million people watch it worldwide, including the Turkish parliament, which ended their session early so they could go home and find out who shot JR.
You know what? To this day, if you ask somebody who shot JR, after all of that, nobody really knows.
Who shot JR?
Everyone remembers who shot JR. No one knows the answer. I don't even know the answer.
I could not tell you who shot JR.
Kristen Shepard shot JR. Kristen Shepard, played by Mary Crosby.
You know what they say, hell hath no fury like a woman framed for prostitution.
He did not follow through with his promise. He was supposed to marry her.
So Bing Crosby's daughter shot someone. She always looks so happy in those Christmas specials.
America has some real heroes tonight, Olympic heroes.
It certainly was the impossible dream come true up in Lake Placid today.
The United States beat the Soviet hockey team. We haven't done that since '68.
This is one for the ages.
How great was that for the game of hockey? How great was that for the nation?
That was one of the greatest, magnificent moments in all of sports history.
This is not just a game. This is not just an upset. This is a clash of civilizations.
This was a real David and Goliath story.
Back then, you weren't supposed to have professionals in the Olympics. The Russians were full of ringers.
This is literally like a bunch of college kids going up against an entire team of Ivan Dragos.
We had this ragtag bunch from Boston and Minnesota. These kids were missing their teeth.
And Herb Brooks was the quintessential coach that brought a bunch of scrappy kids together, all with their own agendas to play for the United States of America.
Coach Herb Brooks didn't seem like the nicest guy in the world, but boy, could he rock a plaid jacket.
Here we go as the game is underway. The Soviet Union in red and the United States in white.
It was a grind the whole game.
Soviets scored first.
Slap shot, and it was deflected in.
Then the United States comes back and answered, and everyone's like, what's going on?
The slap shot goes in!
The Soviets dominate the second period, but it's still only 3-2.
In the third period, one of the Russians gets stuck in the penalty box. So we got a power play. We come back, it's 3-3.
I think that's the first moment light bulbs go off that this could actually happen.
At the 10-minute mark, USA scores again.
Scores!
USA is in the lead with 10 minutes to play.
10 minutes. It's like an eternity.
My mom couldn't sit. She couldn't sit.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
Do you believe in miracles? The phrase that gave Al Michaels a career.
I still get chills every time I hear that Al Michaels call.
Our house was mayhem. My brother was running around the house screaming.
And that team went into the locker room afterwards and they sang what? God Bless America.
These guys played better than they ever played before. They won the game they weren't supposed to win. And it was just, everything about it was magical.
So we learned a lot in 1980.
For one, we had an active volcano in the continental US.
Mount St. Helens going off was so otherworldly.
I remember standing in front of my TV with my mouth open, watching this volcano, going, where is that at? And they're like, it's in the United States of America.
I'm sitting in my house as a kid looking at a giant mountain with a radio transmitter on the top thinking, what about that one?
You think there's a connection that around that same time we started playing The Floor is Lava?
1,300 feet of the mountain disappeared in a matter of seconds.
The images were incredible.
Back then, people didn't have the videos everywhere, so the pictures that we had these stop-action shots in 8-second increments of what was happening.
I know this isn't what happened, but the way I remember it is that the entire country was in a cloud of smoke.
You were hearing that you couldn't breathe because there was so much ash in the air and you couldn't see, and people were suffocating.
We were watching the images on the news, and the plume of smoke went through several states. People several states away were wiping ash off their foreheads on the way to school.
Everybody around the water cooler at work could talk about nothing else for days and weeks. And then we began to uncover literally the damage and the number of deaths and realize what a human catastrophe it was.
It decimated over 250 homes, businesses were destroyed, forests were destroyed, railways, highways. It caused mass devastation.
It's a good reminder that this is a violent planet and nothing's ever set. Everything's still going.
There is a hand larger than ours on this planet, and we should never forget that.
It's time for a Who Can Forget pop quiz. Which classic comedy did not crack the list of top 10 grossing movies in 1980? A. 9 to 5, B. Airplane, or C. Caddyshack? The answer is C. Caddyshack. Though beloved today, Caddyshack was considered a disappointment when released in 1980.
Apparently there was some problems in the production. You had big stars, Bill Murray, Chevy Chase, Rodney Dangerfield, and everybody's favorite co-star, cocaine.
Time for more stories you'll never forget.
Dr. Ruth.
Oh, Dr. Ruth. She brought sex to everybody.
Dr. Ruth, it was all the rage. People have no idea.
I just love her and love how she demystified the topic of sex.
And I'm an expert in human sexuality, as you know, Geraldo.
Dr. Ruth started with a radio show called Sexually Speaking.
It's 1980, it's late at night, you turn on the radio, and all of a sudden there's an old woman with a German accent talking to you about sex.
Welcome to the Dr. Ruth show. Now, the woman, her orgasm very different than the man's. Dr. Ruth, right timer? The only time you ever heard a German accent was in a Nazi movie, right? And now it's just it's hard to compute.
To me, it's almost like she's one of the Von Trapp kids, like grown up.
I don't know if she's a real doctor, like an MD. I think she's a DDT, a doctor of dirty talk.
Who is this lady that shouldn't be talking about sex at all, let alone in ways that would probably make me blush today?
Dr. Ruth looked like your grandmother. And that was her appeal. Grandma's giving me sex advice. This is a little bit weird, but I kind of like it.
So this little radio show blows up. It goes into syndication, and now all of a sudden, Dr. Ruth is a national figure.
She was everywhere.
She probably taught you things your mom wouldn't talk to you about.
She took an uncomfortable subject and made it very comfortable for people to talk about, and it came from such an unlikely source.
I guess it was better to have Dr. Ruth talking about sex than someone like Farrah Fawcett. I mean, that a young boy couldn't deal with.
Rubik's Cube. This is the 80s right here. Man, are you kidding me?
This is like the devil's toy.
Rubik's Cube first came on the scene in 1980, and it wasn't long before everybody had one of these babies.
You were not cool unless you carried this around with you everywhere you went.
And then guys discovered girls, and this and Pogs went right out the window.
You want me to try and solve it? Do you know anyone that's ever solved it?
I can do this really, really quickly. I'm so good at this.
I need this white thing to be here.
Gotta get that over. Where did that go?
This is like trying to figure out why a woman is mad at you.
There are 43 quadrillion permutations in this. That's like 18 zeros.
There's always one kid at your school who took off the stickers, but you can always tell because the stickers aren't put back right.
You know, I got a 1390 on my SATs, and I've never been able to do one of these.
You know what sucks? When you finish this game, you don't really win anything. You just win the start of the game.
Thousands of years from now, when aliens invade Earth and all the humans are gone, they're gonna find a landfill full of like 1 billion Rubik's Cubes, and they're gonna think to themselves, what the hell was this place all about?
I'm pretty sure in every episode of Hoarders, there's a Rubik's Cube sitting in one of them rooms somewhere.
See, this is when games were real, not digital. You can hold it in your hand, you get frustrated. Oh, forget it. Don't do my phone. Oh no, that's good. Everybody from my hometown of Boston knows the name Rosie Ruiz.
That cheater who almost got away with it.
That was a crazy, crafty story.
Rosie Ruiz was the first woman to cross the finish line in the 1980 Boston Marathon. Not only was she the first woman, she had a record time.
But then, after she gets that moment with the medal around her neck, people begin to wonder, why isn't she sweating?
Her legs don't look really tired. Her muscles aren't really throbbing or flexing after running such a long distance.
Have you ever seen somebody who's run a marathon? They're a wreck. I don't know why anybody runs a marathon if you see the end of a marathon.
And her response was, I woke up with a lot of energy.
But they couldn't prove she didn't do it, so she was pronounced the winner of the Boston Marathon.
And then her story started to come apart.
And Ms. Ruiz is in big trouble with officials of last October's New York City Marathon. They've been investigating whether she ever finished that race.
She had actually qualified for the Boston Marathon by running an incredible time in the New York City Marathon 6 months earlier.
Turns out that a journalist remembers seeing Rosie Ruiz on the New York subway during the New York Marathon.
It was a fairly crowded car, and there was one runner sitting on the train.
They were casually talking with her on the subway and thought it was peculiar that she had on a marathon outfit.
People at the checkpoints didn't remember her. Spectators along the route didn't remember her. There were no photographs or video. It was almost as if she magically appeared at the finish line.
And a couple of days later, 2 guys from Harvard who were along the route say, I recognize her. She burst out from behind us on Commonwealth Avenue half a mile or so before the finish line.
I had 1 minute to feel that I had won the race, and every moment after that has been a nightmare.
She was then stripped of that medal. But it was so strange. To this day, everybody says, why?
I wasn't aware of a huge cash prize for winning the Boston Marathon. Was there a check?
For my whole childhood, the name Rosie Ruiz was synonymous with cheating of any kind.
Yeah, cheaters never prosper.
Clearly, Rosie Ruiz was a villain. But there was one young boy who was watching her victory with a twinkle in his eye. And that boy was Lance Armstrong.
It's time for another Who Can Forget pop quiz. Which FBI sting operation that brought down several members of Congress was made public in 1980? Was it A, Abscam, B, Operation Greylord, or C, Operation Catch and Release? The answer is A, Abscam. The politicians were videotaped taking bribes from a made-up Arabian company.
If someone tells you they have a company called Abdul Industries funded by a remote Arab sheikh, that might be a reason to pause.
Time for more stories you'll never forget.
Brooke Shields was such a big star in 1980.
She was like a phenom at the time.
Every boy growing up in the 80s knew who Brooke Shields was.
Do I remember Brooke Shields? Is the sky blue? Do you remember a little movie called The Blue Lagoon?
The first time I saw Blue Lagoon, it was discovering gold. Just wet, wonderful gold.
As a boy in America and you're watching The Blue Lagoon, you're like, that's it, that's the dream.
I'm glad I saw Blue Lagoon when I was 14 and not when I was older, because I would feel really creepy.
Blue Lagoon put her on the edge of controversy because some people called that movie soft porn.
She was like 14 at that time. I mean, you're a kid.
Yes, the Blue Lagoon, otherwise known as Epstein's Inspiration.
Then there was, of course, the infamous Calvin Klein ads.
You want to know what comes between me and my Calvins? Nothing.
Oh, wow.
I don't know where Mr. and Mrs. Shields were, but I don't think they were on set.
As a kid, I didn't get it. I just thought she really liked her jeans.
You know what comes between me and my Calvins? Certainly not the age of consent.
They had her in these weird Cirque du Soleil contorted moves. I tried once. I think we all did. I pulled a muscle.
Calvin Klein jeans.
People just went nuts with this Calvin Klein ad.
You won't be seeing it on some television stations. The CBS network and Channel 7 here in New York say they won't show the ad because they don't like the answer to that question.
He got exactly what he wanted. CBS banned the commercial. You put ban and an item together, and everybody wants that item.
I was a 14-year-old boy, and I wanted a pair of women's jeans.
The Calvin Klein ads with Brooke Shields really ushered in the era of designer jeans.
Jeans became the new gay love wear. People wanted the hottest, most expensive jeans.
I want to pretend like I'm working class. I wish some big fashion designer would make blue jeans.
You know what? I do remember having my Calvins. So maybe shamelessly advertising works, right?
But it all started with Brooke Shields, a sexy, sultry 14-year-old?
I definitely remember growing up with Pac-Man.
The first time that I ran into a Pac-Man machine was at a 7-Eleven in Sunland, Tahunga.
1980, video games are still in their absolute infancy.
Prior to Pac-Man, you basically were shooting stuff. You had asteroids and Space Invaders, which kind of were the same thing, because it was stuff falling from the sky that you had to shoot at.
All of a sudden, Pac-Man was everywhere. Everybody was playing it.
You would have people that spent all day on this, and you would just be waiting to play, but these guys would just show up with more rolls of quarters than I keep in my pants.
Pac-Man generated $1 billion in revenue in the first year.
Am I wrong here? Is that 4 billion quarters? Do we even have 4 billion quarters in this country?
The beauty of Pac-Man was that it was not violent. You know, I watched Fortnite, I watched all these games today. It's so graphic.
Is eating someone less violent than shooting them? I submit that it's worse.
I think it might be a metaphor for life. It's like you're running away from your ghosts.
He's never full. He's just trying to fill that hole of emptiness.
Unless he eats a big pill, then his problems go away.
The fun thing about the Pac-Man was you had to go actually play it somewhere. You couldn't play it like at home.
This was the birth of arcade culture. Finally, your mom had somewhere to drop you off while she went panty shopping.
This is when you didn't think about people kidnapping your kids, and literally your mom would give you $1 and be like, go play.
It was a great way for parents to stop parenting.
It's a little suspect that it wasn't too long before Miss Pac-Man showed up. He didn't even take the man out of his name. There was just a bow in his hair. Pac-Man, I know it's you, and you're dressing like a woman now, and I can accept that, but I don't want you lying to me about it.
All around the world, people continue to mourn the death of John Lennon. Radio stations in many, if not all countries, are airing his music over and over.
I was actually at a party in my apartment.
I was at Saturday Night Live.
I was in bed already, for school the next day, and my brother woke me up.
Of all the people to meet such a violent death, John Lennon?
I don't think we were prepared for the way it hit us.
I can hardly talk. I can't even believe it really happened. It's like shooting a friend.
The thing about John Lennon is, it seemed that he had disappeared. He had kind of gone into seclusion for the longest time.
He was kind of in this sort of super dad husband mode where he wasn't a Beatle so much so anymore. He was putting together his music, hanging out with Yoko and his little boy.
He had come out with a new album, Double Fantasy.
Everybody was excited about what he was going to sound like. What was the new John Lennon sound?
We missed this guy. We missed his art. We missed his music. And then you get a little glimpse and you're like, okay, here we go.
For this to happen right then and there, it was stunning.
Mark David Chapman was one of those quintessentially 1970s assassins. It seemed like he killed Lennon for no reason at all.
I feel like assassins always have this sort of twisted version of the world where they are somehow the bringer of change.
The shooting happened just after Lennon and his wife Yoko stepped from a chauffeured car after returning from a recording session.
Mark David Chapman had killed John Lennon outside his building. He had signed an autograph for him earlier in the day. And this psycho comes back and shoots him later on.
Dude, you met him. He was kind to you. He signed your thing. You don't want me on that jury.
As news of John Lennon's killing spread through New York, fans gathered at the gates to his apartment.
We didn't have the internet in those days, so we tuned into the news, and I remember watching the memorials, thousands of people having the candlelight vigils in Central Park for John Lennon.
250,000 people showing up across the street from the Dakota apartment building where he was shot.
All of New York is there, and they're holding candles and singing Beatles songs.
I mean, sometimes you think, you know, how John Lennon brought everybody together, even in his death. It was very, very moving to watch.
One of those iconic moments that reminds us that life is to be celebrated, and even with hate, love wins at the end, because look, his music and his message still lives.
People forget the late 70s. It was not a great time.
You got the energy crisis, the hostage crisis, which was monstrous, and a terribly weak economy.
Remember the gas crunch? We used to wait in line, and it was an odd even, whatever your license plate was with the numbers, it was either your day or it wasn't.
No one looks back at the Carter administration and is like, those were some good days.
It was really quite a perfect storm for a new candidate to come into power.
President Reagan was a different kind of presidential candidate coming in 1980. He was a Hollywood actor and movie star. He was governor of the state of California. He was president of the Screen Actors Guild.
He was charismatic. He was focused. He knew how to communicate with an audience that was desperate for answers in this country.
They called it the Reagan Revolution. He really was revolutionary.
He said there's no excuse for this economy to be bad or not to give people the opportunity to make the money that they want to make, as long as you have freedom.
It was like Reagan was giving America like a halftime pep talk. Get back in there and fight, boys.
Critics were terrified. They saw him as a major hawk.
As a kid, I was very aware of the nuclear freeze movement, but Ronald Reagan, he wanted to increase military spending.
You had some of the most dangerous times in the Cold War at that moment, and they thought, hey, you elect this cowboy from California, Ronald Reagan, he's gonna get us in a nuclear war.
In October, Reagan was behind in the polls to President Carter, but he really turned it around in the debates.
Here you had an actor who knew how to get up at a podium and project and present ideas and be very likable on stage.
Ronald Reagan's one-liners are the inspiration to today's debates, which are just full of 17 candidates on stage looking to have their Ronald Reagan moment.
Governor Reagan, as a matter of fact, began his political career campaigning around this nation against Medicare.
There you go again. There you go again. It was brilliant.
It was so polite, but it was so dismissive. It was a burn.
You have to believe that all the so-called experts and poll takers are scratching their heads and kicking their computers. Ronald Reagan is the next president of the United States, the 40th president. It looks like the biggest defeat for any incumbent president since 1932.
I remember Reagan's victory, and it was sweeping.
I mean, Reagan destroyed Carter. It wasn't even close.
It was an electoral landslide.
489 to 49. That's what you call an ass whooping.
If you win over 400 votes in the Electoral College, the nation has spoken.
President-elect Ronald Reagan, the candidate of the Late Late Show, made it an early night for Americans watching TV.
Reagan was declared the winner at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time, even before the polls had closed on the West Coast. But who cares about those guys, right?
It's over? It's over. Should I vote anyways? Sure. You want the sticker, don't you?
When Ronald Reagan was elected, it was like America came back, like that, you know?
It was like we'd been wearing our winter jacket in the summer. And like, why are we miserable? Oh, I see what it is. It's Jimmy Carter. Take off this Jimmy Carter jacket. Woo, I'm wearing a Reagan t-shirt. I'm feeling great.
And with the Reagan victory, it ushered in the Reagan Revolution, and the 80s had officially begun.
Whenever I get some money, I buy Calvin's. And if there's any left, I pay the rent.
Cut. Hey, Brooke, you're doing great. We all love what you're doing. Can we try one where we maybe believed it?
I've got 7 Calvins in my closet. And if they could talk, I'd be ruined.
Are we creepy? Is it because she's young? Like, is that who we want to be? Seriously, Jim, you're from Calvin's, right? Are you cool with this? Because that's like, she's a teenager. This is borderline going to jail stuff. So we'll keep going. They like it.
There are 2 kinds of people who wear Calvins. Those who want to remember, and those who want to forget.
Okay. One more, just like that. And then we'll break for lunch. I'm not gonna go to jail for this. I'm not good. I can't do time.